Brisbane. So today I'm lucky to be based in Brisbane. It's nice and hot here. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll do this presentation quickly. This is a topic that is becoming quite interesting and relevant for our industry. So just I'll start with the just cover the first slide, just to give you guys a bit of background about us and what I do. So,
Okay, one
okay,
moment. I'll just move this. Okay, go ahead.
sure. Yeah. So I'm here on behalf of TaxCube. TaxCube is a registered tax agent and an accounting firm that specializes in looking after businesses NDIS. We look after almost 200 NDIS providers across Australia. We got providers who are solo providers, just having sole traders and just one or two participants, all the way to up to providers who have up to 400 participants. So again, it could be anywhere between providers just earning a revenue of 50 grand to our largest provider who's doing about $22 million. So we're lucky enough to get an exposure of the whole industry. And we have been looking after NDIS providers for almost 5 years now. So we've been in this industry for a number of years and we've seen the changes that have come across in this industry. All right. So that's my background. Before I was in the tax cube, I started my career with Pacific Brands. Now, some of you guys might know Bonds, Hold Proof, Mossimo. So I used to be an accountant for them. And then I went into a mining company where I spent about 8 years. The company is called One Steel. And we used to do anything from management accounting, budgeting to commercial analyst, tax advisor, internal auditing manager. So I went through across a number of roles in One Steel for 8 years. And then I came to an American company called OI Glass. That was uh, my role over there was a commercial manager. So I was managing about 200 US million dollars, and my role expanded between Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, China, Australia, and New Zealand. So quite a number of experience before we started our own practice. All right, let's just go to the next slide. Okay, so NDS pricing arrangements, the budgets, and the structure. So the reason I say this is becoming quite an interesting piece of area is traditionally, if you guys remember, NDIS has been in the past. Uh, the funding was majority of the funding was based on goals needed, and it is goals needed, but we had a lot of our clients who used to be able to provide the support as per the needs of the participant, which meant sometimes you have a participant who have the budget for 12 months and they will be using the budget within 3 months or 6 months, and NDS was generally generous enough to roll over the plan or refund the plan for another 6 months because the money ran out. However, all the productivity commission and all the reasons the NDIS is in the media, and unfortunately, for some of the time for negative reasons, there has been a lot of um, compliance from there and a lot of restrictions from the NDIS. So most of the fact that a lot of you guys will have noticed now that some of your participants are getting quarterly or sometimes even a monthly budget. NDIS now really does not like if you exhaust the budget and you have to have really clear reasoning. Previously, your sport coordinator could give you an approval to go above the budget, but now what I'm hearing is that even the sport coordinators are not allowed to do it. And if you're going to be exhausting the budget, it has to come clearly from the NDIS plan manager. Otherwise, you will risk not getting paid for your invoices. We'll talk more about that in the next slides. But what you need to understand at this stage is you should all prepare a schedule of support for each of your participants so that you can sort of track as to if somebody has got a budget for 12 months, how would you or what number of hours you would provide to make sure that you only run out the budget in 12 months or 3 months. Okay, you will need to forecast their needs and there are tools in the market for that. So essentially, this is kind of becoming an issue which needs a lot of attention, which previously it did not need. The second thing is it's also NDS looks at it from your reputation as well. If you continuously exhaust department budgets, you might see that you unfortunately are subject to an investigation by the integrity team, and God forbid if you get that, all of a sudden you got all this compliance and documentations that you have to provide, and you get delayed payments. And if you are a provider that does it for a number of participants, unfortunately, you might see yourself, your whole ABN getting blocked, whereas basically the NDIS is checking every invoice for each participant that you're sending. Now, this can be very uh, expensive exercise for you, from the effective point that a lot of administration, you have to provide a lot of data to NDIS to prove you have done the job, and you are entitled for the funds. To the fact that you can have massive timings, because sometimes these investigations can take up to 8 months before you get paid, and obviously you still gotta continue paying your worker. Okay, so the summary from this is essentially, that's okay, Jessica, you can go to the next slide.
Sorry.
All right, so your essentials are, so you got to make sure that whatever invoicing system you're using, you should review it and make sure that you are using the correct price guide, and the correct items from the price guide. Ideally, I always tell my clients, whoever's doing your invoicing, whether it's yourself, whether it's your admin person, or whether externally you're getting it done, make sure that the person who is doing it understands the NDIS price guide. It has got a lot of details on what can be claimed and what items can be claimed. And you need to make sure you're following all of that. You can obviously, there are tips on, and you can have softwares like Vertex 360 where you can uh, document all the timesheets. You can document the case notes and all the compliance that do. So when if you do have an issue, you can backtrack it. The whole point of NDIS, I guess, review is for you as a provider to prove that you have delivered that service, and this is a way a software can sort of come in handy. But make sure you got to make sure that you're using the right item codes from the NDIS price guide. So the key takeaway from that is make sure whoever's doing invoicing in your business understands the NDIS price guide completely. Next slide, please. Okay, so just go back to just get this one, so that I can finish off the invoicing part. So look, just to summarize, just in terms of invoicing, you have to make sure that ideally a nice tip is make sure you have a schedule of support prepared for pretty much each and every participant that you have, so that you can sort of always track your invoices compared to your schedule of support, how you're invoicing them. And then another pitfall that I've seen some people do is, especially when they have a SIL client, a supported independent living client, is that they will continuously keep charging the client from their sell bucket, even though they're using community access. So you have to make sure you're using the right but funding category as well. Otherwise, what you might have is no spending in the community access, but then over exhaustion, over exhaustion of budget in your sale funding. Okay, and then all of that will not make sense, and then you could be subject to an investigation, which you didn't have to. So, uh, so the base thing here is working out a good schedule of support. All right, we'll move on to the next topic. So now, mind you, these are just very basics that we're touching. I will encourage you, if any of you guys, um, it does not make sense or have more questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Cheska, and I'll be happy to sit down with you or have a chat to you to explain it to you in more detail. All right. Payroll. Now, payroll is another area that is going to be heavily focused. Lately, we've known that Fair Work is going to be targeting the NDIS sector in the coming months, could be next year. Why is that? Um, a lot of uh, a lot of people are making complaints to Fair Work in terms of not getting paid correctly, not getting paid the superannuations. So there is, you can say, the pressure is building up for Fair Work. And what I know from some of our sources is that there will be a campaign by Fair Work. Whether it happens this year or next year, I'm not too sure, but they're going to be starting to do a campaign to basically, initially it's always about educating the employers, and then later on it goes on to compliance. Already we have seen the payroll tax department have started to look at NDIS. So they're looking for any provider that has got $1 million and over of payroll expenses, that should be registered for payroll tax. And so they have already started targeting them. I also noticed that workers' compensation is also looking at it, and workers' compensation, unfortunately, the year-on-year increase has almost doubled. So it used to be about 1.85%. Now it's almost 3.85%. This is predominantly driven by all the injury claims that are happening in the industry. Okay, so common pitfalls in the workers are the for the India sector, the very classic is employee versus contractor. We've seen that a lot of people have got their workers on ABN, and which is okay. You can have it. But you just gotta remember one thing is if you had employees on TFN and they were working with you, and then you wanted to change them into ABN, unfortunately, that sort of comes under sham contracting, and to some extent even hiring the ABN workers, and because they're working really like employees for you, they're not really subcontractors as such. So ATO can sort of put them under sham contracting, which means they will have essentially uh, all the entitlements that a normal employee has. One thing that we've really seen is a lot of people assume that because somebody's on ABN, they don't have to pay the superannuation, which is completely not true. I've had a lot of new clients that have come in who have been subject to an ATO audit. And even though they were paying a higher rate, for example, an employee, they're paying $40, but the ABN, they're paying $45. Now, in their mind, they think they're doing the right thing is, they're paying the $40 plus the superannuation, so $45 an hour. So they're thinking they're doing the right thing. But unfortunately, when it comes to the ATO audit, they say, well, hold on, the super has to be paid to the super companies or to the super gateway. You cannot pay it to the worker. So unfortunately, what's happened is then they're saying, well, now you're going to pay super for this person. So not only you paid a higher rate, you've also paid, also now need to pay super again. And worse is that you're also going to organize to pay SDC, which is the late payment. So if you had ABN workers for 2 years, and God forbid if you get subject to an audit, then unfortunately you're gonna have to cop a superannuation bill, and on top of that, because you paid it late, you're gonna have to cop interest and penalties on it. Okay. Next one is yes. One of the other thing is you have to make sure that another one that a lot of people that miss out is the portable long service leave. The good thing is with ABN, we have checked with the Victoria. Now, this is for Victoria only. So if you're here from, and you're not from Victoria, then please check with your local long service leave authority. In Victoria, at least, if you have a worker who's on ABN, then they're not entitled to the long service, portable long service leave. So there's a bit of relief there. Okay. Just in terms of NDIS, make sure you have your worker screening and your normal compliance documents. And this is also where you can have a software like Vertex 360 where you can upload all the documentations to make sure that everything is in line and everything is compliant. All right. Can we go next? And the biggest thing is with payroll is make sure the rostering is done very correctly. You don't want to have an overtime situation. Essentially, any shift that has 2 or more hours of overtime, literally you on that shift you have not made any money. You've lost money. So any shift that somebody's doing and you are having to pay 2 hours or more of overtime, basically your profit's gone from there. All right, next please. Okay, so in this one, so what we'll look at this is, again, I've touched this before, that you need to be making sure that you're not just relying on one sport categories, and you have a schedule of support produced where you can see what different categories are, and you are charging according to those categories, so you know you're using the funding correctly. And the other big thing that I tell all my clients is that you have a lot of my clients used to do fortnightly or something with monthly invoicing. Pretty much we've been pushing all of our clients to do weekly invoicing. And the reason I say weekly invoicing is I cannot tell you how many clients I have who basically have to pay the workers, but they're not getting paid from the NDIS. And now they got massive PAYG bills and 3 monthly BAS bills and superannuation bills. And they come to me and they say, well, look, Hamad, but we haven't been paid by the NDIS. Unfortunately, from ATO's perspective, that's not the problem of the ATO. That they're going to say, well, that's a different department and we're a different department. You had the staff, and the staff entitlements need to be paid. Whether you get paid from NDIS or not, that's irrelevant in this scenario. So you really got to make sure that you're weekly invoicing and you don't have any invoice overdue more than 7 days. So you should build in a system in your, I'm sure most of you guys are using either QuickBooks, Xero, or MYOB. All of these softwares are able to give you a report which shows all the people that are overdue more than 7 days. And if I was you, I would be putting in a resource, or if you're a small provider, being the owner, looking at that list and making sure that all invoices over 7 days are regularly monitored and regularly chased with the plan managers or in the IA. Okay. Um, the last, just go next, please. Okay, so we're just gonna go towards a conclusion, and then we'll go through the questions. Okay. One of the, as I mentioned before, so ideally now, before we used to run a business, a lot of our clients as well, they would just get the plan and then start delivering services and all that. But now, as part of your care plan, one thing I think all the providers should do, and everything that I tell my clients as well, is to make a schedule of support so that you truly understand what support you're going to be providing and what it is going to be costing you. And this is when track how your actual case is being provided compared to the scheduled support. So hence it's very crucial now, especially NDIS is in the rate turbulence area. It's crucial now to be very financially agile. It's just essential now for you to run a business. As I mentioned before, we have a number of clients who are in the boat where they've paid their workers, they're waiting for the payments from the NDIS, and now they got massive PFIG bills that they're just having to make payment plans with the ATO to make those payments. And make sure you guys are all up to date with what's happening in the industry. You can attend webinars. We're going to try to do more webinars and bring more information. So please subscribe and keep an eye out on the webinars that we're doing, and hopefully you'll get some information out of it. All right, so we'll move on to questions if anybody's got any questions. And I know, like I said, it's a very basic introduction, but I'm more than happy if somebody wants to have a more detailed chat. Please reach out to Jessica, and or we'll throw in my contact details as well. Give me a call, and I'll be happy to talk one-to-one.
Okay, so actually, guys, what we're doing right now is just really a basic webinar when it comes to finance, to just really give you a glimpse of how things are, and we hope this webinars would actually provide insight and help to you guys. But if you need any consultation or any assistance or any questions that you don't want to ask on this question and answer portion, I will be
Yeah.
providing Hamad's email when I send a copy of the recording of the webinar to you guys. And you should receive that either tomorrow or on Monday. But for anyone so far, do you have any questions about about our topic today? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone? Uh, do we have any questions, guys, coming from the NDIS support workers or with our participants right now or business owners? Yep. Mm. They're actually quiet. Yeah.
That's okay.
That.
Look, that's okay. Like I said, I'm more than happy to. Our email address is hello. So hello is just a hello at taxcube.com.au.
Mhm.
More than happy for anybody to contact me if you need more information. Like I said, so before, that these webinars are more to just sort of bring your attention to this, that hey, there's a lot of changes are happening in the NDIS sector, and finance being the backbone of our business, it needs the attention and it needs the care that it deserves. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All
So
right. Thank you,
should
everybody.
thank you for joining us, guys, and I hope that you have a great week ahead of you guys. And if you have any concerns, feel free to email us at info@vertex360.io, and we'd be happy to answer your questions or any inquiries. Okay? Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thank you.